What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Jada here, back with another video, and today we're going to be diving into 90 Day Fiance, the single life. I did a video in terms of the first 2 episodes. If you guys would like to check out that recap, I'm going to link it in the corner here for you. But now we're going to be going into the last, I think maybe 3 episodes that they have put out, and I think more than likely there would be another episode released by the time as I put this video out. But either way, let's get into it. So first we have Debbie. So she's no longer, at least it looks like, seeing the guy that she was pretty much lying to when it came to her age. She was saying that she was in her 50s, but she was actually in her 60s. And also on the very first date, it looks as though she kind of released way too much information, in my opinion. She started talking about her relationship with Osama and how she was being used, and yeah, it was a little too much for a first date. It was a little too heavy. I feel like with first dates, you need to keep it kind of light, just talk about your likes, your dislikes, what you're expecting from a man, what you're looking for. Make those intentions clear in like the very first date or two. But yeah, I think in terms of you actually dumping in terms of your trauma from past relationships, that should wait until you're a little deeper into that relationship, the new one. Okay, so that's just my thoughts about that. But moving forward, it looks as though she's seeing someone new. It looks as though it's another person from another country yet again. I'm going to say it's a guy from Cuba. I forgot his name, but I do think he's from Cuba. But it looks as though in this upcoming episode that she's going to be heading over there to meet him for the first time in person. I don't know if Debbie really learned her lesson, honestly. I think she's probably going to continue finding these men. They're probably just going to take advantage of her. I'm just going to be real. But let's hope for the best for Miss Debbie. Let's move on to John. So he does go over to Texas. I think she is in San Antonio, Texas. He goes over to visit her and they meet up the next day because he does land pretty late. And they had a little bit of fun. Okay, if you know what I mean. Fun. And, he made one of his requirements pretty clear. He was like, okay, this woman is going to have to keep up with me sexually speaking in the bedroom, right? And I'm like, John, this is great and all. I understand. Yes, your sex life should be colorful and great. However, I think one of the major things should also be that you are able to be a stepfather, okay? Because this is the first time that he's ever dating someone with kids or a child in this case. I think she only has one. Also, you need to take into consideration that you guys don't live in the same state. Are you gonna move? She gonna move? Like, how is this relationship gonna work out? There's so much other things that I think he needs to consider. Obviously, there's others that I'm kind of leaving out, but it's just kind of big things that I think he's missing. The sex life, I mean, that's important too, but what about her as a person? How are you gonna deal with problems? Are you guys good with dealing with issues? Can you do it together? You know what I mean? Like, I just think about all these more serious things other than just the sex life, because that's kind of all he mentioned. And I'm just like, okay, what about everything else? Like that was kind of like the number one for him. But it doesn't really surprise me because John kind of has like an immature way in some senses of looking at relationships. And I'm a little worried because she is a mother and now there's a child involved and she needs to be considered as well. So I don't know. We'll see. But let's move on to Tyree. So Tyree, and it looks as though his brother and a friend of his are all going to New Orleans. They're trying to have a boys' vacation, okay? They're trying to have fun. They're trying to get Tyree to talk to some women, get him out of his little funk, because obviously in the last video that I did, he unfortunately got stood up. She never really gave a reason as to why she never showed up, at least not a good enough reason anyway. But they are trying to get him to shake that off. And he is now trying to talk to these women in New Orleans. And he does meet up with one in particular, but she is sitting with a group of women at one point. And he pretty much just trauma dumps, okay? He's just like, well, I used to be in a relationship with a man. And I'm like, all right, this is not really how you start a conversation, honey. Come here. Let's have a chat, right? Because he just went straight into it. It wasn't even like, let's just ease our way into that conversation and talking about like my past relationship issues. No, we're just going to dive right in. It's like, okay. Basically, Tyree, he ends up talking to this woman and he tells her all about his fake relationship. And thankfully, the woman, she kind of sees that he's just trying to be honest, but it was a little like too much for the first meeting, if we're going to be real. But they do agree to meet up with each other in this next episode upcoming. I think she might be going out on a date with him, but we'll see. You know? But let's move on to Chantel. So Chantel is over here being delusional as hell in Greece, okay? With her friends just kind of cheering her on. And I think she is actually considering potentially even moving to Greece. I really hope not, but after just a couple of days in Greece and also meeting up with this guy, I forgot his name. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. So his name is Giannis. I can't pronounce his last name, I apologize. But he is a professional Greek football player and he also played in both Britain and Greece. So yeah, he's into football. He's an athlete. I really just hope that she is not trying to uproot her entire life just to move to another country for a man that she's only known for maybe about a week at the most. It's really kind of annoying. I understand, yes, you are coming out of a love drought when it came to your relationship with Pedro. That marriage definitely made you a little horny in some areas. You know, you want to, you know, get some action because it's been so long. I get it. However, I would say when it comes to Chantel, she needs to really, really be careful. I'm really hoping that she does not do anything stupid. Like, girl, you need time, okay? Like, y'all could just make it work, like long distance for a little while. Same thing you did with Pedro. But at the same time, I don't think she needs to be hopping into another relationship at all, regardless of it being long distance or not. I don't think she needs to be jumping into another relationship right now. I don't think it's needed, just in my opinion. I think she needs to take a minute, take a breath, and get your life together first. Let's just casually see where things go, but you don't have to commit to anything serious right now, especially not moving halfway across the world. Okay, let's move on to Tim. So nothing's really been happening with Tim except for with Veronica, because we all know Veronica is now seeing Jamal, who is Kim's son, if y'all remember Kim and Usman. So Veronica and Jamal, they're going out to basically meet up with Tim at one point, and it doesn't go well. Jamal also invites some of his friends as well to meet up, and they pretty much have to restrain him in some ways so that him and Tim don't get into no like major fight or brawl. And Veronica's just so annoyed because it's like, what are we doing? It looks as though obviously Tim and Veronica, they dated for a while and they're now friends, and I guess his opinion of whoever she dates is important to her. I don't know why an ex would carry so much weight, but you know, that's what it is. And I can understand why Jamal would be annoyed. And it's weird that you are that close with an ex and also someone who you were engaged to at one point, so an ex-fiance. Y'all were about to be married. This man was also taking care of, or at least also kind of co-parenting in some way with Veronica, being a stepdad to her daughter. And I just feel like he's way too close, way too invested in someone that he's no longer with. It's weird. And I think they should just be together if this is going to be how it's going to be every time that she starts dating someone new. But at the same time, I do think Jamal is too young. I'm just going to be real. I think he's too young. And I think that it's something that Veronica really needs to consider when it comes to moving forward with him, because not only do they have issues with communication because he doesn't like to have conversations if they're not face to face, it seems. I don't know why you're in a long distance relationship then if that's the case. But you live all the way in California. She lives on the East Coast. So you're going to have to make something work. There's that. And then also the fact that he's in a totally different area of his life. He's not a dad. You have a whole child, a teenager that you're trying to raise. And now he's going to have to step into a stepfather role, being as young as he is. Like, I don't know if he's able to do that. So I think Tim is pointing out some pretty interesting points with regards to their relationship. And I just personally don't think it's going to work out. I just don't see it happening. But let's move on to the last one. We have Natalie. And it looks as though with Josh, they're trying to work out their relationship. It looks as though she was able to get an apartment. I think he was also able to sign on that with her. And also she is now looking for a job. It was so awkward watching her trying to, I guess it was Josh's cousin. she was trying to get a job as a receptionist at his place of work. I think he was the manager. And he was interviewing her, and the entire time, instead of actually trying to sell herself to get this position, because she knows she needs money, she's talking about being an actress, but you need money right now, sis. You can't rely on Josh for everything. So she's trying to get a job, and this interview is just going downhill so fast. As soon as she finds out that this guy is Josh's cousin, instead of talking about her capabilities as a worker and what she can do as an employee, she's asking this man if he knows about Josh's baby mother. Like, what? And you could clearly tell it's so awkward for the guy, because he's just like, I am here to interview you for a job. I'm not here to talk about my cousin's business. Whatever is his business is his business. I have nothing to do with that. That needs to stay personal. Okay, I prefer him not to tell me. I prefer not to discuss that with you. And I think that's fair, because why are we talking about this? We should keep it professional. So that was really irritating. She just botched that entirely just because she was trying to get some information. And I'm like, girl, we trying to get a job here. We're trying to make money. Okay? You blocking the bag. Josh invites one of his friends who happens to be, I think, some type of TV or movie producer, and he also brings his significant other. She invites them all to their apartment that's, I think, maybe like a 1-bedroom. Actually, not even a 1-bedroom. Everything looked connected, so I'm gonna say a studio apartment. They had the bed right next to the dinner table, and they actually had to have Josh sit on the bed because they didn't have enough chairs. So I'm like, girl, you need a job. You're gonna need a job because you're gonna need to move eventually. So she and her mother are staying in there. They're all at this dinner in the apartment. And out of nowhere, Natalie decides, oh, I'm going to do a part from Shakespeare, and I am going to say it in Russian. So they not only don't understand what she's saying, but they're now having to watch her at this dinner. It's very awkward. And she's just making serious eye contact with this guy, this producer. And I'm just like, I understand you trying to shoot your shot. You know, you trying to get this acting role. I get it. But at the same time, it doesn't make it any less awkward. Yeah, he seemed to be impressed, and he had told her that she might be considered possibly for a role in a horror movie that he was going to be putting out shortly. So I don't know where that's going to go, but at the same time, she needs a job, because acting is not steady. It's not a steady job. It's not a steady way of living. And even actors and actresses that are very well paid in the business can tell you that. Okay, but that's going to be it for that recap of the last couple of episodes of The Single Life. You guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.